Surrounding the holidays, Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris. Sheriff Norris, thanks so much for joining me.
Great to be here with you.
Sheriff, the beginning of this PSA is directed at Washington State residents, noting that the Kootenai County Jail sees a disproportionate number of out-of-state bookings from your neighbors to the west. Coeur d'Alene, for those who aren't familiar, is pretty close to the Idaho-Washington border. Sheriff, what are the reasons for these bookings?
Well, there's a little bit of comedy in this press release, but there's 100% seriousness because we've been seeing that when we have been contacting Washington residents, they didn't realize, most of the recreational users didn't realize that only in Washington are they not enforcing or they've decriminalized very dangerous drugs. But in Idaho, we have not. And we take them very serious. And so your methamphetamine, your cocaine, your fentanyl is still against the law. And for that recreational user, it's important for them to know that this isn't Spokane, this isn't Washington. You're not going to get a pamphlet on where you can get help. You're likely to go to jail. And we see the last time we did statistics in 2021, 46% of the people that we arrested during that weekend, which was 43 of them out of 93, were from the state of Washington.
And this seems obvious, but just to check, did those arrests increase when Washington's drug enforcement laws changed?
You know, we have seen a lot of different dynamics, but I haven't quantified that. But what we do see within a lot of the criminals and what our intel is telling us and what our undercover operations are telling us is that there is an element of the criminal element in Washington that says, hey, we're not going to go to Idaho because they still enforce this. We'll do a transaction in Liberty Lake. We'll do a transaction on this side of the border, but we're not going to do it in Idaho because if you get caught doing this in Idaho, you're likely to go to jail or prison. So we do see that. But as far as exact quantification, I haven't not done that.
Are you also seeing an increase in Idaho residents who are being arrested for possession or trafficking because it's more easy for them to get those drugs that are illegal in Idaho but not in Washington if they just go, over to Spokane Valley?
Right. We haven't seen an increase in that. About the same. Now, our jail, I will tell you, our jail runs about 500 inmates right now on a daily basis. We should be about 361 with my staffing situation. So we do have an increase in inmates, but then again, we're one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. So our population is growing by leaps and bounds.
4th of July is pretty busy for first responders for so many other reasons. How do these arrests impact other public safety calls?
It takes away the deputies from doing our normal calls for service, our normal activity load. And then all of a sudden we're dealing with either petty theft, grand theft, DUI with injuries, driving under the influence with injuries. Those take a lot of the deputies' times. And these aren't just to the road, to the water, because we have 18 lakes and waterways here. So many of them are arrested for operating a boat under the influence, and that takes away from enforcing the law and keeping everybody safe.
And I think a lot of people don't realize you can get picked up for a DUI on a watercraft, and that's a very dangerous situation, especially when the lakes are as crowded as they are on 4th of July weekend.
I got to tell you that serious injuries, critical injuries, and deaths have a nexus to two things: alcohol and or not wearing a Coast Guard approved vest. If you do at least or not do one of those things, your chances of survival increase tenfold.